In my mind, there's one choice for roofing around here, and I'd go with your best choice. Whether it's time to replace your roof or repair it, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit, too. You can find out more at bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. That's bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit, or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. Hello, friends, and welcome to a very special edition of Your Daily Detroit for Friday, August 15th, 2025. I am Jer Stays, and across the little sitting table from me is none other than Mr. Friday, Devon O'Reilly. How are you?
Jer, I'm so glad you came out to see me. You're finally here. Welcome to Fairlane, the home of Henry and Clara Ford.
So you mean the whole time you were doing the show, you were not doing it from a refrigerator box by the Rouge River?
No. We do have a nice refrigeration system here from 100 years ago. But as you can see, I was not lying about being on the banks of the Rouge.
This place is so impressive, and I'm sure through a number of episodes we're going to talk about some details. It's wild to go to like Thomas Edison's. I mean, it was his like guest bedroom, but it was like his guest suite. There's so many beautiful things here that are in process of restoration. What a gem in Metro Detroit.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, as people may have heard or know, we are still technically closed to the public. So you're getting a real sneak preview here, Jer. We are closed to the public, but that's going to change in 27 when we open in earnest with all sorts of different opportunities to tour the space, learn more about Clara and Henry, their lives, their characters, what they were about, and all the cool things that happened here. Because there's so much that happened here, not only in the home, but the powerhouse, the garage that I showed you. I mean, hey, how cool is it that you brought a Ford to Henry Ford's garage today? That's pretty cool.
Okay, so it's kind of funny because this weekend I am reviewing the new 2025 Ford GT Fastback, Ford Mustang GT Fastback, which, by the way, is like driving a stick shift on a dragon. That thing wants to go. But when I was in the navigation system, I had to laugh because this was the home of Henry and Clara Ford. I feel like there should be an Easter egg in the Ford software to be like Daddy's house or Mama's house, and like it drives you back to Fairlane.
That would be really cool. We can talk with Ford about building something in it. It just kind of takes you back to the garage. Fun fact, I think I mentioned this maybe on an episode, but Clara actually drove an electric car.
Really?
Yeah, there was a charging mechanism because there is a hydroelectric powerhouse here that powered not only the estate but the grounds and part of Dearborn at one point. So Henry and Clara are really big into sustainable energy, hydroelectric power. It's called Clara's Electric, and we're gonna be able to put that out and display that when we're open. So that's pretty cool. And kudos to you, Jared, because who can drive a stick shift these days?
Okay, I have a question for our audience, dailydetroit@gmail.com, or hit us up on social. How many of you all can drive a stick shift? I'll be honest, I actually prefer driving a stick shift. It's a lot more control. It's far active. There is no like sitting there on the freeway vibing. It's like a much more active driving experience. I really like it. It keeps me awake.
I mean, it does sound more active. I couldn't imagine. Driving enough seems complicated. I don't need extra things with stick shifts and gears and all that. I'm sorry, that's not me. So I'm not the gearhead. That's not why I have this job. But kudos to you. I feel like it's probably interesting to see the graph of people who can drive stick shifts based on like generation. It is, I assume, just plummeting at this point. I can't imagine how many Gen Z people can drive a stick shift.
I think as an elder millennial, I'm at the end. I think it really dropped off with the millennial generation, even with some of Gen X, honestly.
Yeah, I think it depends also on like who your parents. And my dad wasn't really a gearhead or a car person, so to speak. So it's something you probably, if you learn how to drive a stick shift, you probably learn from like your father or your uncle or your male guardian. I mean, I hate to say it, but
I learned from my grandmother.
There you go. Okay.
But my grandmother was a badass.
All right. Well, or your badass female guardian. But it was one of those things. If you didn't get taught by someone like that, how else would you learn it? You're not gonna learn that in school. So.
Well, maybe after this episode, you're going to have to hop in and we'll hit the freeway, like clear acceleration. There is nothing like it. And I know people think it's funny that I love transit and I love the Chicago L train and all that other stuff, but I appreciate like engineering for what it is. Like, I don't know if I would daily drive this vehicle. This is like the edge of being like a sports car, but I appreciate for what it is. And if I had the coin to have like a toy like that, I would definitely be into it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a daily driver, maybe to some people.
I'm
but,
sure somebody is.
But you can do, that's what you can do both, Jerry. You can still love transit and still love to have a little fast car to tool around in once in a while. That is kind of what we are in Detroit and Michigan, right? We can do both.
This is true. This is true. So we have something on the table.
Well, I welcomed you here into what is now my office and home that was the home of Henry and Clara. Now, Henry, famous teetotaler. I think if you know anything about Henry Ford, he was not a drinker whatsoever. Clara was known to have a beer or two once in a while. She preferred Rolling Rock as her beer of choice. So, I'm kind of breaking rules here, but, a new era, so to speak. And I brought out some good stuff for you. I had been given as a gift this Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend Bourbon, which is, we haven't done a What Are We Drinking in a long time, you and I, so I try to bring this tradition back. So this is Cigar Blend Bourbon. It's bourbon finished in Armagnac, sherry, and cognac casks. Given to me as a gift. I looked it up. Quite a pricey bottle of bourbon. So we're gonna share this here and do a little taste.
All right, I'm very much into this. Less and less people are drinking now, according to the New York Times. Oh, that's good. That little nip is very good.
The good bourbons don't burn as much. You kind of feel the warmth in them. You can taste that. But
I think that's the difference between a good bourbon and a bad bourbon. One feels like a bite, one feels like a hug.
Absolutely. I think that's what people who maybe aren't experienced with drinking bourbons and whiskeys and all they get is, Jack or Jim. That tastes so different. I mean, it's the taste palette, all of it is so different. Please don't base your love or dislike for bourbon based on having Jim or Jack drinks. But I digress, Jared. To your point, you're right. I did see that, and it's not surprising to see that people are drinking less. Generationally, you'd have to be blind not to notice the shift. I think there's, partial. It's not cultural. I'll say generational. Gen Z seems very much like, they're a more anxious generation. They're a more isolated generation. They don't go out as much as previous generations. And just people in general, I think, are more anxious. They're certainly more risk averse. We are in risky times. When you and I were growing up in the late 90s and early aughts, a little more carefree, right? And
they let me run down to the end of the block.
The stuff we put in our systems, I mean, it was crazy. I'm not even talking about necessarily alcoholic stuff. I'm talking about sugary soda drinks and, the Sunny Delights that I drank. Like, we were just more risk averse. So, I mean, I think I could go on a long diatribe, Jared, but clearly I'm someone who still likes to enjoy a drink once in a while. And I really do enjoy a drink once in a while. But it's interesting how things are changing. What am I going to say? Clearly I'm biased here, but I do think that, risk is everywhere, right? Like I just said, sodas are risky. You were drinking, God knows how unhealthy a bottle of Faygo is, or, your vape pen, or everyone has vices. And so you choose your vice. Some people have this, but a lot less people are having our bourbon as their vice. And hey, more for me.
I notice a big uptick in non-alcoholic events that are being pitched to us. Like, I know there's one tonight that's going to be over at CeeLo, the rooftop of Cambria. And like, when you and I were bopping around downtown Detroit all the time, and we still are, just, we've got all these things going on. That would be unheard of, to have a rooftop DJ, full out event, full promotion, all the flyers, all the way to the wall, right? Yeah. But the top of it's non-alcoholic, and that's a shift.
It is a shift. Look, I know that I'm biased, but I'm not sure I like it, just from the sense of I'd like an option. Just give me the option. If you don't want to drink, that's fine. I don't judge anyone who doesn't drink. I just don't think it's fair then to pass that judgment or to say, this is a place where you can't even have a drink, even if you wanted one. Just be able to do both, like we talked about. Life's about options, about variety. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I think you should have the option, though. So, it is what it is, and we'll see where things go, Jerry. Because as we've talked about, things are cyclical, and the pendulum tends to swing back and forth.
I think that there's something to that because I know a lot of people, and I'm not trying to minimize anything out there going in the world, but as somebody, I would feel differently if I were 25 today than being 45. I just turned 45. We had our live event at the Old Miami. Having that perspective makes me realize like things do swing back and forth, and we do need to keep on it. We can't be less vigilant, but this is kind of like the path of human history.
Yeah, I know. I love we can get so esoteric here, just sipping our fine bourbon and sitting in Henry and Clara's house. But maybe that's what brings it out in us. But no, I think you're totally right. And I actually just read something, an article today in the New Yorker that talked about kind of this like millennial cringe music. Like it was, there was a recent article about the song that was like the least popular, the worst song of all time or something, and it was one of those hey ho clap stomp era songs, and like it was just the article talked about how the Gen Z looks at us and like, oh, millennial cringe, but at the same time they're yearning, they're jealous of like those carefree times we had. And I think every generation deserves to have the reckless carefree times. And it doesn't seem like Gen Z has allowed themselves to have the reckless carefree times in their life. And you know what? I think everyone needs those.
The thing is that I think it's important to make mistakes and end up better off for it.
You have to live to learn. And I think that's kind of the gist of it, man. You gotta live to learn, and it's okay to be a little reckless and carefree at certain points of your life, whether it's your teens, your 20s, hell, your 30s, depending on how your life ebbs and flows. But
I mean, we have listeners. We have very cool listeners who are careless in their 60s and 70s.
Exactly.
I've met them.
The pendulum swings back, right? I bet those people might have been carefree and careless in their 20s, and now they're back to it in their 60s and 70s. But I just hope that Gen Z has a chance to let loose a little, and the young millennials too, for a little bit. Like just allow yourself that space to enjoy life.
So let's talk about where we've been. Who wants to go first?
Why don't you go, Jer?
All right. So I went to the new location of Warda Patisserie in Little Village, which is right on the east side by Jefferson Avenue. Okay. And it's part of this whole complex. I mentioned Father Forgive Me, the bar over there. There's the church that's been rehabbed, the skate park, those kind of things. The actual address is 1286 McClellan. I wanted to make sure to get it right for folks. Okay. What a dreamy spot. You park. You walk up, and there are these ramps that take you through these beautiful flowers. You go up these steps to this delicious porch. You go into this, what was a house that's been converted into a commercial space on the first floor. And the most delightful suites are there, and the people are there. And I just love seeing it. I grew up on with time on the east side of Detroit. Years ago, I had an apartment that I could see the apartment building while eating my pastries, looking out there. And if I had had something like that in my 20s, oh my gosh, it would have been amazing. And I love seeing this for Detroit as somebody who lives near there. I know that there is a lot, there's starting to be some tension around, well, how can they build this and all this other stuff? I don't know. As somebody who's been around a long time, I think we Detroiters deserve nice stuff.
Heck yeah, give people the options. Again, I'm sick of this. Let's go back. Let's just, get back to our kind of abundance-pilled themes here that we've been riding the last few months. But give people the options. If you don't, I'm sick of kind of something happening or something opening up, something happening and people saying, well, no one's going to go there. That's not for this neighborhood. You don't know until you do it, right, Jer? And you've said this multiple times. You beat this drum of like, don't just dismiss something as that won't work there, or that's too fancy for this place, or that's not fancy enough for this area. BS. I think what we found is you just don't know until you do it. And Detroit kind of proves it all the time. You think about even the Father Forgive Me and the Shepherd. 10 years ago, someone would have said, you can't do that in that area. There's no one to go to that place. There's no one to enjoy that there. That's not the audience. And they've been proved wrong. So the more the merrier in spades. And I love the Warda Patisserie location in Midtown. That was
still open.
It's still open. I'm saying I loved it because I used to frequent it a lot more when I was in that area. But yeah, that was delicious. I mean, this is literally a nationally, globally acclaimed pastry chef. So I mean, it sounds delicious. I wish you would have brought me some. Is my only regret.
Oh, next time. I had a really great chicory latte too, which I did not did not expect. Be willing and be open. And shout out to Lucci behind the scenes who came with me. He had never seen these types of pastries before with sesame and cherry. And like, this is a bakery without borders is how they describe it. So you're going to get things that are Middle Eastern. You're going to get things from different Moroccan, I believe. You're going to get things that you may not have seen, but like, who can turn down a date twist? That sounds like a wonderful idea to me.
It sounds delicious. And actually, Jer, you've done a nice segue into where I've been, because picking up on that Middle Eastern pastries and date heavy, which dates, as this is one of those things growing up in Dearborn, I feel like I am spoiled with dates. And we're talking about the fruit here. I am spoiled with dates because it's a staple of Middle Eastern cuisine, and we have just the best. I can find like the best medjool dates from the source in Dearborn, and so we have a lot of pastry shops. I actually went to a coffee shop, and in Dearborn, coffee shops and pastry shops go hand in hand, and we certainly have no shortage of them. But what I'm finding is every new coffee shop that opens in Dearborn, and believe me, you might think I'm a broken record, everyone has a different kind of a twist. And I went to a new one that had just opened up in West Dearborn on Michigan Avenue and Howard Street. For those of you who know the Dearborn area at all, Lynch's costume shop was a staple for a long time.
Yes.
You know Lynch's? Perfect.
Okay, so one time I actually bought like glitter for my beard there.
Yes, Lynch's was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing costume shop. Long-standing, no longer here. But like in Dearborn, my favorite thing about the city is when something goes away, unlike other places, it doesn't sit vacant. So this was scooped up, and now it is a coffee shop called Qimmah with a Q, and I could be saying a little wrong. It's Qimmah, like Qimera, Qimmah Coffee. That's on the lower level, and that's pastries. It's your traditional Yemeni coffee, but also lattes, cold brews, different herbal teas, some really, really nice croissants and danishes, pies, things like that. The twist is on the second floor, which is quite substantial if you know the building, there is a billiards hall, which I actually had to, I poked my head in, it wasn't open. It looks beautiful. I mean, you're used to like your smoky billiards hall with the torn tables and stuff. This was a beautiful billiards hall upstairs that functions as kind of a third space. And I just thought, this is so cool to have that mashup of a coffee. Who would have thought a coffee and pastry shop below with a billiards hall upstairs? But you know me, and I know you, like just fans of cool third spaces. And so now we have a coffee shop and billiard hall, and that's just pretty cool.
That is amazing. One of the things that I love about Dearborn is that there's just so much energy happening right now. And I know that we're daily Detroit, and really our remit's always been Metro Detroit. But I think people sleep on how much is happening in Dearborn right now with commercial spaces, with development and things happening. And, in the context of everything with the news about 375, which talked about earlier on the show or in a previous episode and other places, I think there is something to be said for that young, dynamic leadership that's at the table. I want to give some flowers for that, because that's something that's really special in showing how you can pull together different cultures and do really cool things.
We do. I think we definitely set the model, at least regionally, for young leadership, collaborative leadership, having all voices at the table. More often than I've seen, people come to Dearborn to try and sow division, and each time we show them that we are actually much more together, much more collaborative than other people, outsiders, might think. So it's a great example. People welcome these things that open up, these new businesses, and no matter what it is, we talk about it. My motto is, hey, if something nice wants to open up, new business wants to open, it doesn't have to be for me. I'm glad it's here. I may not go there. I'm just glad it's here. And so that's kind of the motto that I take. Not every place is for me. I went to the coffee shop. I'll go back to the coffee shop. I may check out billiards, but I'm not a pool player.
I'll go with you. I know how to play. I'll go with you.
You can school me in billiards. Maybe I'll practice on Henry's pool table that you saw downstairs.
I saw that. Is that the original table?
It's a very expensive recreation. Very expensive recreation of the original pool table, and it's really cool. So yeah, we have a billiards table here at Fairlane that they like to play. So yeah, maybe I'll practice a little on that, and then we'll meet up at the billiards hall.
I will say, having gotten a little bit of a tour, and I think we'll share some more details over, some episodes in the future, there is something magical about the blend of styles in this house. The views of the Rouge River, where it's situated. I understand why it was such like a important place in Dearborn and in the region for so long. I mean, I have memories of this place as a kid doing tours and stuff, and it's been closed for quite a while for remodeling. But the work that you're doing is even taking it beyond those memories I had and taking it to what it used to be, and there's just some grand stuff happening.
Yeah, I really can't wait for people to see it. We are picking a period of significance, 1915 to 1919, when the Fords were really living here in earnest as a family, and we're restoring it to that level, and everything here is going to reflect that. And it's just going to be, it's going to be really, really cool, Jer, and I can't wait for people to check it out. The level of detail is incredible. I mean, like you said, over 10 years. Clearly, for anyone who listens for any period of time, I have not been doing this long. I've been doing this for about 2 months. But there's people who've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 plus years. And the level of meticulous restoration is unlike anything that, easily that I've ever seen. But I think it'll be unlike anything anyone else has ever seen. And people have great memories. It used to be a restaurant at one point. That's not going to be a restaurant anymore. But you're going to be able to kind of really experience it, not like a museum, not with stanchions and I love Greenfield Village, but it's not going to be like a Greenfield Village house. So you walk in, you have to like stop and peek over the glass or peek around the rope stanchions. You're going to be able to interact with this house. You're going to be able to live in this house with the family that lived here. So I'm super excited for it. I'm glad you got to come check it out and you get to see what I've been doing. So when I say I'm from the banks of the Rouge River, you actually know what I'm talking about.
Listen, I'm sure that our audience is going to have 1,000 ideas. And at some point, I don't know when, but at some point, we're going to have to do a Daily Detroit meetup here.
Oh, we have to. I can't wait. I'm going to start working on that, and I'll build the anticipation. It's going to be a little while. We got to work on it. We got a lot of stuff to do. We got a lot of work to do, Jer. But we're going to be ready to welcome the Daily Detroit crowd because this is right up their alley. I know you guys. Listener, I'll break the fourth wall. I know our listeners. I know you guys. You're going to love this.
Yeah, you get the emails too.
Exactly. I do.
All right. Well, that is going to be it for today's episode of Daily Detroit and for the week. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to our members on Patreon, patreon.com/Daily Detroit. Just posted is the audio from our Old Miami live stream that you're going to want to check out. And we're going to have more episodes of Off the Record, Off the Rails, which I know Devon loves to do.
Clearly, I do enjoy those, and I've got a lot of content for that in my brain that we can tap into.
One of these days, I'll come over to your house. One of those times where we can have the bottle of bourbon.
There you go. Really get off the rails, off the record.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, I'm Jer Stays.
I'm Devon O'Reilly.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.